Rich people drive Ferraris. Wealthy people drive Camrys. Here's the psychology that changes everything. Walk through any luxury car dealership parking lot and you'll see the illusion in action. The salesman in the Rolex, the entrepreneur in the Gucci belt, the doctor pulling up in a Porsche. They look successful, right? Here's what you don't see: the credit card statements, the mounting debt, the stress of maintaining an image that's slowly destroying their financial future. This is the difference between being rich and being wealthy, and understanding this distinction might be the most valuable financial lesson you'll ever learn. The invisible divide. Let's get the definition straight, because most people confuse these two completely different states of being. Rich is what you earn and what you show. It's the high income, the visible spending, the lifestyle that screams, "I've made it." Wealthy is what you own and what you hide. It's the high net worth, the invisible assets, the freedom that whispers, "I don't need to prove anything." Rich is the Instagram feed. Wealthy is the brokerage statement you never post. Rich is what strangers see in 3 seconds as you drive by. Wealthy is what your future self experiences for 3 decades in retirement. The fundamental truth? Rich is about income. Wealthy is about assets. And in today's world, we're obsessed with the wrong one. Think about it this way: you can be rich on Monday and broke by Friday if you lose your job. But if you're wealthy, your assets keep working, whether you show up or not. Research from the millionaire next door reveals a startling pattern. Most actual millionaires live in middle-class neighborhoods, drive used cars, and wouldn't stand out in a crowd. They've understood something profound. The correlation between visible spending and actual net worth is not just weak, it's often inverse. The visibility paradox. Here's where human psychology starts working against us. We admire what we can see: the Tesla in the driveway, the Rolex on the wrist, the designer handbag, the luxury vacation photos. But we don't see portfolios. We don't see investment accounts. We don't see the compound interest quietly building in index funds. And we definitely don't see the debt statements hiding behind those Instagram posts. Social media has weaponized this visibility paradox. Every scroll through your feed is a highlight reel of consumption. The new house, the exotic trip, the designer haul. Your brain interprets these signals as, "This is what success looks like." And suddenly, your own financial priorities start shifting toward the visible and away from the valuable. But here's the uncomfortable truth researchers discovered: actual wealth is boring. It's spreadsheets tracking net worth. It's automated transfers to retirement accounts. It's choosing the older car because the math makes sense. It's saying no to the bigger house because you've calculated what that mortgage really costs over 30 years. None of this gets likes on social media. None of this impresses strangers, and that's exactly why it works. 2 doctors, 2 destinies. Let me paint you a picture of 2 doctors, both earning $500,000 annually. On paper, they're identical. In reality, they're living in completely different financial universes. Dr. A drives an $80,000 BMW, lives in a $2 million house in the prestigious neighborhood, and has a net worth of $50,000. Dr. B drives a $30,000 Honda, lives in an $800,000 house in a good but not flashy area, and has a net worth of $2.5 million. Same income, 50 times difference in net worth. What happened? Dr. A is rich, Dr. B is wealthy. Dr. A seeks validation through visible consumption. Dr. B seeks freedom through invisible accumulation. Dr. A's ego rises with his income. Dr. B's ego stays constant while his assets compound. When Dr. A pulls up to the hospital, colleagues notice. When Dr. B pulls up, nobody thinks twice. But here's the twist. In 15 years, Dr. B can walk away from medicine entirely if he wants to. Dr. A, he's trapped. His lifestyle costs demand he keeps working. The $2 million house needs a $500,000 income to sustain. He's built a golden cage and he's locked himself inside. The psychology here is critical. Dr. A experiences a dopamine hit every time someone admires his car or comments on his house. Those hits are real. The neuroscience is clear. Material purchases activate reward circuits in the brain, specifically the nucleus accumbens. But here's the problem. That activation is temporary. It fades. It requires bigger and bigger purchases to recreate the same feeling. Dr. A is on a hedonic treadmill and he doesn't even know he's running. The hedonic treadmill, why luxury gets boring. In 1971, researchers Brickman and Campbell identified a phenomenon they called the hedonic treadmill, our tendency to return to a baseline level of happiness despite major positive or negative life events. You buy the luxury car, you feel amazing for 3 months, then it becomes your new normal. The happiness boost evaporates. You need the next upgrade to feel that hit again. Studies tracking thousands of participants found something fascinating. People adapt to material purchases in about 3 months. That $80,000 car brings immense joy in month 1. By month 4, it's just your car. The perceived value weakens over time while the loan payments continue for 60 months. You're paying for a happiness boost that already disappeared, but experiences? Different story. Research from the University of Texas followed 2,635 adults and found that experiential purchases, travel, concerts, dining experiences consistently brought higher happiness than material ones regardless of cost. And here's the crucial part. Experiences endure in memory, while material goods depreciate in both value and emotional impact. Neuroscience reveals why. Material purchases activate anticipatory reward systems, but adaptation occurs quickly as the brain's hedonic pathways desensitize to repeated stimulation. Experiences, however, become part of your identity, woven into the stories you tell and the person you become. You don't adapt to a memory the same way you adapt to a possession. The wealth equation, income minus ego. Morgan Housel, in The Psychology of Money, presents perhaps the most elegant formula in personal finance. Wealth equals income minus ego, not income minus expenses. Income minus ego. Your ego determines your spending. Insecurity drives consumption. Confidence allows invisibility. Think about why you want the bigger house. Is it because you need the space? Or because you need people to know you can afford it? Why the luxury car? Transportation or validation? Why the designer clothes? Quality or status? Strip away the ego component of your spending, and suddenly you'll discover you can live remarkably well on far less than you thought. The research backs this up powerfully. Studies show that saving money is literally the gap between your ego and your income. Every dollar you spend to impress others is a dollar that can't compound for your future. Every purchase made for validation is a purchase made against your own freedom. The fastest way to increase your savings isn't to make more money, it's to reduce your ego. A survey analyzing actual banking data found that people who believed spending implies wealth, those with high spending implies wealth beliefs, spent 13% more on lavish goods annually and had significantly less in savings and investments. They were signaling status through consumption and destroying their actual financial position in the process. The correlation between visible spending and net worth? Inverse. The more they spent to look wealthy, the less wealthy they actually became. Why we choose rich? Over-wealthy, evolution, and tribalism. This brings us to evolutionary psychology, and suddenly the whole puzzle makes sense. For 99% of human history, status signaling required visible displays. In tribal societies, you couldn't hide your wealth. Your status was your hut size, your furs, your possessions. That visibility mattered for survival. Our brains evolved in that environment. We're wired to signal status through consumption because for millennia, that's what worked. The problem? The modern world has completely changed the game. Today, visible signals are often financial suicide. The person in the luxury car might be drowning in debt. The person in the modest sedan might have $5 million in index funds. We're running ancient software in a modern operating system. Our evolutionary programming says, show your status through visible consumption. But in 2024, that programming leads us directly into financial traps. costly signaling theory reveals that we engage in consumption to alter others' perceptions of our status, even when it's economically irrational. We're literally hardwired to make poor financial decisions to impress strangers we'll never see again. The freedom calculation, what true luxury actually is. Here's where everything shifts. Rich people are trapped by lifestyle costs. The $15,000 monthly overhead, the private school tuition, the club memberships, the car payments, the house that requires constant maintenance. They've built a machine that demands feeding, and they must work to feed it. Wealthy people have options and autonomy. They've kept lifestyle costs low relative to assets. They can walk away from jobs they hate. They can take risks on passion projects. They can say no without financial consequences. True luxury isn't the Rolex, it's controlling your time. Research on financial independence consistently shows that happiness plateaus around $75,000 to $100,000 in annual income in Western countries. Beyond that, additional money doesn't significantly increase happiness. But you know what does? Control over your schedule, autonomy over your time, freedom to choose how you spend your days. The time millionaire concept challenges everything we've been taught. A time millionaire prioritizes time wealth over financial wealth. They understand that money is infinite, you can always earn more, but time is finite. Every day lived is one fewer day remaining. Financial independence isn't about having enough money to buy anything. It's about having enough money that work becomes optional. Calculate your FIRE number. Financial independence, retire early. It's typically your annual expenses multiplied by 25. If you spend $60,000 annually, your FIRE number is $1.5 million. Invested conservatively at 4% returns, that generates your $60,000 perpetually without touching principal. That's wealthy. That's freedom. That's invisible power. Reframing your psychology, the reality check. Time for the reality check that changes everything. Nobody thinks about you as much as you think they do. That car you bought to impress people? They thought about it for 3 seconds as you drove by, then forgot you existed. Your watch, your clothes, your house. Strangers notice, register, and immediately move on with their lives. But your portfolio? That impresses your future self every single day for decades. The compound growth you started in your 30s creates freedom in your 50s. The money you didn't spend on the luxury car in 2024 becomes $200,000 in retirement accounts by 2054. One decision impresses strangers for seconds. The other decision impresses your future self forever. The research on delayed gratification is striking. The famous Stanford marshmallow test found that children who could wait for a second marshmallow, delaying immediate gratification for a larger future reward, went on to have better life outcomes decades later. Higher SAT scores, better career outcomes, lower substance abuse rates, better stress management. But newer research reveals something crucial. Delayed gratification isn't just about willpower. It's about trust in future rewards. Children from stable, resource-rich environments could delay because experience taught them that waiting pays off. Children from unstable environments couldn't because experience taught them to take what's available now because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Apply this to adult financial decisions. If you trust that your investments will grow, that markets reward patience, that compound interest is real, you can delay consumption. You can choose wealth over rich. You can pick the boring spreadsheet over the exciting purchase. Delayed gratification isn't weakness or deprivation. It's actual intelligence applied to resources. The compound effect, how wealth actually gets built. Let's make this concrete with numbers that'll change how you see every purchase. Take $50,000 annually, the difference between Dr. A's and Dr. B's spending. Invested at 8% annual returns for 30 years, that becomes $6.1 million. Not saved, invested, compounded, grown, but spent, that same $50,000 yearly becomes zero plus a garage full of depreciated possessions and fading memories of temporary status hits. One path leads to freedom. One path leads to the treadmill. Same income, radically different outcomes. The only difference is psychology. Here's how compound interest actually works and why Einstein allegedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. You invest $1,000 at 10% annual returns. Year 1, you have $1,100. Year 2, you earn 10% on $1,100, giving you $1,210. By year 10, you have $2,594. Simple interest on that same $1,000, just $2,000. The gap widens exponentially. After 30 years, compound interest turns that $1,000 into $17,449. Simple interest, only $4,000. The difference is staggering, and it applies to every dollar you invest instead of spend. A monthly investment of $2,500 at 8% returns becomes $280,000 in 30 years. You contributed $900,000. Compound growth added $1.9 million. The market literally doubled your money through patience alone. Your action steps. From theory to practice. First, calculate your wealth ratio. Take your net worth and divide it by your annual income. If you're 40 with a $300,000 net worth and $100,000 income, your ratio is 3x. The goal? 5 times your income by age 40, 10 times by age 50. This single metric tells you whether you're building wealth or just earning income. Second, before every purchase, ask one question. Is this a rich decision or a wealthy decision? Rich decisions make you look successful. Wealthy decisions make you actually successful. The luxury car is a rich decision. The index fund contribution is a wealthy decision. The bigger house in the prestigious neighborhood is rich. The modest house with a massive investment account is wealthy. Train your brain to choose differently. Third, track your net worth monthly, not your income. Income is what you earn. Net worth is what you keep. Most people obsess over raises and bonuses while ignoring the number that actually matters. Total assets minus total liabilities. Create a spreadsheet, update it monthly, watch it grow. Make that number your scoreboard, not your salary. The data is overwhelming. Studies of actual millionaires reveal that most are frugal, live below their means, and prioritize saving rates over consumption. They budget meticulously. They choose value over status. They make financial decisions based on math, not emotion. Over 90% own stocks through retirement accounts. About 40% have no mortgage at all. They've rejected the rich path entirely in favor of the wealthy path. The choice that changes everything. Here's what it comes down to. You can be rich, impressing strangers who don't care about you with possessions that lose value while you stay trapped in a high-income job to maintain a lifestyle that brings diminishing returns. Or you can be wealthy, living below your means, investing the difference, building assets that compound, and creating actual freedom that lets you control your time and choices. Rich is a car. Wealthy is a portfolio. Rich is visible. Wealthy is invisible. Rich is validation. Wealthy is freedom. Same income potential. Completely different psychology. Radically different outcomes. The millionaire next door isn't driving the Ferrari. He's driving the Camry. And he's sleeping better than the Ferrari driver ever will because he understands what most people get wrong. Wealth isn't about what you show the world. It's about what you don't have to show anyone. It's the spreadsheet that gives you options, the portfolio that buys you time, the freedom that lets you say no without consequences. That's the psychology most people get wrong. They optimize for appearance instead of substance, for validation instead of freedom, for rich instead of wealthy. And that single misunderstanding costs them everything that actually matters, not just money, but time, autonomy, and the ability to live life on their own terms. The question isn't whether you can afford the luxury purchase. The question is whether you can afford what that purchase cost you in compound growth, future freedom, and actual wealth. Because 30 years from now, you won't remember the car you drove in 2024, but you'll absolutely feel the difference between financial freedom and financial dependence. Choose accordingly.